So the Raw from Buffalo last night provided some interesting storyline progressions, some questionable decisions, and we're going to talk about that right now as it came to us from the KeyBank Center, and it opened with a recap of last week's segments with Jay and Solo, and that was kind of it. And we had Stephanie Vaquer come out, and Vaquer called out Liv Morgan. Morgan said she had a lot on her mind, and she mentioned comments that Becky Lynch made about her last week and said she doesn't care. Morgan said she's champ for herself and doesn't care about the women who came before her or those who will come after. Morgan laughed at the idea of being fearful, and it ended with Vaquer dropping Morgan with a punch, but of course, Rodriguez and Perez double team her. Stephanie Vaquer then ends up clearing Rodriguez and Perez until they eventually get the best of her again, and Becky Lynch comes out and clears Morgan, Rodriguez, and Stephanie from the ring. But we get these very forced stare downs and like very manufactured tense moments between Vaquer and Becky. It's not that I don't want to see this matchup. I do, but it's a little bit regressive to, and phony, quite frankly, to try to create these tense moments. And they haven't exactly been organic. Now, we all know that, these storylines are all produced in a meeting, a pre-production meeting. We know that. But at least make me feel like what I'm watching is off the cuff. And with these moments with Stephanie and Becky, it's like they're waiting for each other. They purposely will stand there until the other one tries to hit a move. Like, it does just, they're not executing well in terms of their very, very forced, tense moments. Again, Vaquer, she's becoming a pretty big star with not really having wrestled a whole lot over the last year. And Becky Lynch is doing the best to kind of reimagine herself. She's moved on from the man music and tried to look a little different. And she's back to being a babyface, and that's fine. But with Becky, I feel like we've almost squeezed as much juice out of her as we can. Stephanie Vaquer is clearly the big star that they're trying to work towards, at least one of them, not the only one, but one of the women's stars to the future that they're looking at. And I do think that Becky and Vaquer, of course, are going to match up at some point. We've been seeing these forced, tense moments for weeks now. But fine. They stood over, the Judgment Day trio stands over Vaquer to end the segment. Now, the next segment here with Jevon Evans and JD McDonough, the first official match of the night. It went 9 minutes and 15 seconds with Jevon Evans beating JD in a good match. Jevon Evans has unlimited athletic ability, and we all know JD McDonough is the unsung, I don't know if hero is really the word of a Judgment Day. He's the unsung asset of the Judgment Day, where he's the guy that usually takes the fall. He's the forgotten shadow man of the group. But when that group officially does dissolve, which is long overdue, I think he's going to have a hell of a run. Now, this matchup, again, went 9 minutes and 15 seconds after we have the OG cutter that ended the matchup. And after the match, Big Cass attacks Evans from behind and puts the boots to him. Of course, he didn't come out when Jevon Evans called him out, but he ends up destroying Evans a third week in a row. And as Cass was walking to the back, Evans got on the mic and saying, "Hey, Big Cass, is that all you got?" And then Cass comes back, and Evans hit him and knocked him off the rope before hitting a suicide dive. And then Dom ran Evans into the ring posts and ran away with JD. And then Cass picked up Evans and tossed him into the barricade and into the barricade again, just beat his ass, big boot, which I can do without the knee slap. Can everybody else do without the knee slap? Little bit of a pet peeve. I don't talk about that much. There's a lot of stuff that I nitpick that annoy me, but I don't talk about knee slaps a lot. But just as a general rule, across the board, can we get away from knee slaps? It's just so painfully obvious now. They're not even hiding it well anymore. And this is not a referendum on Big Cass. It's the referendum on the overuse of the knee slap to make the boot or kick sound worse than it is. Just generally, I have a complaint about the move. But a third week in a row. And yes, the big story is not even Big Cass doing this, and really not even him not speaking, which I have no problem with. I actually like that he's not speaking. The crowd's still reacting to him without speaking. And as I've said for the last several weeks, and I'll continue to say, Big Cass looks awesome. He looks amazing. He has busted his balls to get where he's at in the shape that he's in. He's lost, 40, 50 pounds of body fat, and clearly been living and eating and breathing the gym. He's locked in his diet. And I said this last week, but I'll say it again. People don't have any idea how hard that is to do. Well, if you've done a diet, I guess you do. Everybody's at least, I think, tried to diet or lose weight in their lives and realizes it's difficult because you have to be hungry part of the time. Nobody likes to be hungry. You want to eat things that you're not allowed to eat if you want to lose weight. You can easily jack up your calorie count, and on the next thing you know, you're not losing weight, but you're not gaining it, you're maintaining it, and that happens for weeks, and then you think, I can't lose weight. It's really just a math problem. That's all that it is. That's all that it's ever been, is a math problem. You need to burn more than you bring in every day. End of story. There's no secret to it. There's no secret pill, no secret workout. It's simply calories. And you can lose weight. Now, not to say you can put on muscle by just doing that. Of course, exercise will instigate and accelerate muscle growth. I'm just talking about body fat. It's difficult to lose. So Big Cass doing what he's done to his body, congrats to him. But I still have no issue with him not talking. They can't go on like this forever. I would think in the coming weeks, we're going to hear from him, at least in a bit of a short-term promo. We have to. But the crowd's still reacting. He's got a great presence, a great look. And him targeting Jevon Evans, still, as I said 3 weeks ago, no issue with it. And I like it a lot. So, we have Cole saying next week's Raw is actually going to start at 6 o'clock Eastern time, since they're taping a SmackDown episode after Raw. And Graves talked about how Cass is going to get his. People are speculating that there's real heat between them, which is always fun that people still believe some of this stuff sometimes. No, Graves did not go off on his own and trying to create a buzz that there's really a rift between them. He didn't take his personal grievances on air. Maybe he was just being forthright about, hey, this guy's a bad dude. He's going to get his. I don't need Graves returning to the ring. That's not what's happening here, I don't think. All right. So, they then had Cole and Graves recap Penta and La Parka winning first round matches in the tournament for a shot at the World Championship on September 14th in Mexico City. And Cole said Penta will face La Parka in a semifinal match on next week's Raw. We then had a video package air of the first two tournament matches, and we get the second match of the night, which is Rey Fénix versus the White Ranger. El Fiscal. I'll be honest with you. Being a Power Rangers fan, this dude looks like a Power Ranger. And I'm not trying to be facetious or a jerk. Like, he literally looks like he was pulled out of a 1995 Power Rangers episode. I feel like he's fresh out of the Megazord, saving Angel Grove. Maybe he takes his commands from Zordon. I'm not sure. But El Fiscal, which I guarantee the vast, vast majority of fans have not heard of or seen, he strikingly, disturbingly resembles a Power Ranger from the 1990s. And if you weren't alive during that time and weren't a kid during that time, maybe this is right over your head, but I digress. The match, though, was what you think a AAA luchador match would be. High flying. We had a spinning pile driver. We had somersaults, springboard, moonsaults. And it ended with Fénix hitting the Mexican Muscle Buster. And he gets the victory in 9 minutes to advance to the semifinals for a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. It also kind of makes sense here with what they're doing. And this is blending into a larger story here with Roman Reigns and how he's officially, I guess, heel behind the scenes. They have him on the heel side of things. And he's quietly become a heel again. But it also fits, at least for the time being, with him defending his championship in Mexico City against a luchador. You're going to have Roman Reigns booed. So they're trying to get ahead of the narrative and get ahead of the matchup and just put Roman Reigns in the place that he's going to be put in no matter what on September 14th. Now, there could be stuff more down the road. I don't think it's as short-sighted as just that, but it kind of fits into the larger plan. We'll talk more about Roman Reigns and Sol Sikoa in the coming minutes here. So we had then Lyra Valkyria. Oh, that's right. Yeah, she had a promo video and she said she could fly around like Sol Ruca, but she chooses not to because she knows that bad things happen when you fly around just to show off. And she said she'd get the Women's Intercontinental title back. I like her. I like her character. I do. Is she a little bit of Nikki Cross? Yeah. Is she the knockout version of Nikki Cross? I mean, there's an argument for that. She needs to differentiate herself a little bit more from Nikki Cross than she already is. But this Lyra is worlds more interesting than the Lyra that was with Bayley and just hugging her and being the little bitch for Bayley. So this is a much more interesting version of Lyra, despite the fact that, sure, some of them are comparing to, oh, she's just Nikki Cross. But we did get Sol Ruca taking on Lyra Valkyria. The match went nearly 11 minutes. Sol Ruca did win. She hit her Soul Snatcher pretty well. Again, a move that has absolutely no room for error. And it's a cool move. Again, I have a lot of concerns with the move, as I say every week, because as cool as it looks, there's no margin for error. And if you fuck up, you're going to make yourself look bad, your opponent look bad, or someone's going to get hurt. So high risk on that one. It is cool, though. No doubt. Now, the match, again, did end with the Soul Snatch. It was a competitive matchup, so that's good. Even though they have just kind of rebranded Lyra in this new persona, which when that happens, usually that person then goes on at least a mild winning streak. But for Lyra, it kind of got cut short here with Sol Ruca advancing. Again, albeit a competitive matchup and a good match. It just was. I really don't think it hurt Lyra, but she needs to get back on track. Now that she's out potentially of the Intercontinental title championship run, she lost to Sol Ruca. So I will say, why would she get and should she get afforded an Intercontinental title opportunity if she just lost to Sol Ruca? Shouldn't Sol Ruca get that, right? Shouldn't she be the one to actually be afforded the opportunity? So anyway, this is right where Lyra should be at this point, even though she lost. Jacob Fatu is standing backstage, and Jimmy and Jay show up, and Fatu is cordial, and of course not with Jay, and there's a little tension there, but who cares? I mean, I really don't care about bloodline tension. I still don't. But Breaker comes out holding one of the world tag team title belts, and he said to Oba, who was in the ring, "Hey, big boy, I know you're back there. You want to be the future of this place? Come take it from me right now." And that's when Paul Heyman comes out. So Oba wasn't in the ring already. I apologize. Breaker asked Heyman who he thinks he is. He didn't have to answer the question because the entrance music played, and Oba Femi comes out and joins Breaker in the ring. Oba said it was stupid for Breaker to question who the future is. Oba said everyone, including Brock Lesnar, knows he's the future of WWE. And Oba said that if Breaker has a problem with that, he could take it up with him anytime. And Breaker says, how about right here, right now? Heyman said no. And if you take one more step toward Oba, he would take a permanent step away from him. Breaker asked what Heyman was doing. Heyman said, WWE is a publicly traded company that answers to shareholders, not just the people in attendance and watching at home. And he said that the future is someone who understands box office, main events, and that you promote a match to the biggest it can be. Heyman said it is already set up with Adam Pearce. Okay. I have a lot of issues with this. Big issues with this. Do I like Oba Femi? Yes. Am I as big of a fan as most people? Not really. I get it. I'm more of the slow pace to get on the Obafemi train than the just jump aboard and go. I like Braun Breaker. I love what he's got to offer. I like Paul Heyman. Legend in the business. Not even a question. But I've got a lot of issues with this, despite the fact that I like all three men. And despite the fact that this wasn't really a bad segment on its face. This segment on its face was well done, well executed, coherent. But issue number one is, why are we getting Obafemi Braun Breaker right now? Why? We don't need Obafemi Braun Breaker right now. Unless WWE has nothing else going on. These two are really in their infancy of becoming stars. Why not let them just kind of do their own thing and bring them back together in a year or more? I don't know why. This could feel WrestleMania main event worthy in a year or less. Probably a year. I would go for more than that. But if you wanted to just go a year, you could make this a WrestleMania main event at WrestleMania 44. You could, with these two men's capabilities. But we're getting it now. I don't know why. It feels very premature. That's issue number one. Number two, why should Braun Breaker give a fuck if Paul Heyman's going to step back? Now, I know he's a legend in the business. I get it. But how is Paul Heyman going to further the career of Braun Breaker if you're Braun Breaker in character? I'm not saying from the fourth wall perspective of, well, as fans, of course, he's got Paul Heyman by his side. Paul Heyman's a star. Paul Heyman can speak for him. Okay, fine. Yeah, I get that. But Braun Breaker can speak. He can cut good promos. Not great, but good. He has. Look at the CM Punk rivalry he had at the beginning of the year. He did very well against CM Punk. So Paul Heyman's more of a kind of a liability to him at this point. How is Paul Heyman helping him in any way? What does Paul Heyman do besides just hold him back? That's all he does, is kind of direct traffic. That's not who Braun Breaker should be. He shouldn't be beholden to a 66-year-old manager. For what reason? That's issue number two. Issue number three is the content of what Paul Heyman said. Despite the fact that it's coming out of Paul Heyman's mouth, it doesn't really sanitize it much better, because the fact that he says that WWE is a publicly traded company that answers to the shareholders, well, first of all, you hit it right on the fucking head, which is why we see a lot of things happen in the company that make no goddamn sense and frustrate the typical viewer, the casual viewer, the hardcore viewer, with ads, the overload of ads that bring in their majority of their revenue, and they're not going to stop. It's a big middle finger to us because they clearly value the dollar over the general viewing experience. And to the general complaints, they're giving us a FU to the fans who watch them on a weekly basis and watch the PLEs and invest their time and money and have helped build this company from its foundation, right? So they're also, when they say that, when Paul Heyman says that, it tells you that they don't view fans as potential shareholders. They're not mutually exclusive. What if fans are also the shareholders? What do you mean the shareholders? Who are these shareholders, Paul? Many fans of WWE are the shareholders. Many people that are fans that watch the show on a regular basis are the shareholders. So I don't know if Paul came up with this line or creative did or a collaboration of some sort. They can be one and the same, you know. So I think what they really meant is Wall Street. The people that look at WWE, hold their nose to it, know it's quote unquote fake, but they're making a lot of money on the company. Or TKO is making a lot of money and their stock price has gone up, and it looks like a potential stock that I'd like to invest in. While I don't really like wrestling and I think it's stupid and it's embarrassing, I still would invest my money in this stock because I think I can make money off of this company. And that's who I think they're directing their sights on when they say shareholders. But again, you see celebrity involvement, ads, all the stuff that the typical fan would just go and look at and say, this is stupid, which we have over the years. So also the fact, digging into his content a little bit more of this promo from Paul, why should first of all, who gives a shit about who's the future of the company? A match isn't going to decide that. That's not how matches work or should work. The future of the company is decided over time. The outcome of this match is completely irrelevant because the fans will decide who they want to be the future. Not a single match outcome. It's never determined that quickly, especially when it's transparently said this is what's on the line. Well, how? Okay, Oba beats Braun, which I would imagine he would because he just beat Brock Lesnar. Okay, so we're just supposed to write off Braun Breaker? We're all going to go, Oba Femi, he beat Braun Breaker, so we'll have to kind of push that guy back down to the bottom of the list. Forget about him. No, that's not how this works, of course. They're trying to put something on the line here that should just be something that happens organically. It's a byproduct of winning matches. It's not something you should talk about as some kind of reward that actually can't be awarded for the winner of this match. It's not a prize to be given. It's a prize earned over time. You're sorry, I'm not digging too much into it. This is what they're telling me is on the line. Also, with Paul Heyman, again, I'm still on my third complaint. It's just digging into the third, and I promise I'll move on. Heyman said that the future, whoever wins this match, I guess, is someone who understands box office, main events, and that you promote a match to the biggest it can be. No. Hey, Paul. Hey, listen, I love you. I don't know who came up with this, but it's not the wrestler's responsibility to understand box office or main events or how you promote a match. At least in character. Now, in reality, yeah, as a wrestler, you should understand what box office is and how to draw money and what makes a main event and how you promote a match through your promos. I get that. But that's not what pro wrestling is at its core when you watch it as a viewer. That's not what you should be hoping the wrestlers are worried about. It's not like you look at Braun Breaker, if you're a fan of Braun Breaker at Oba Femi, and you're a fan and you're like, you know what? I really like this guy, but listen, I really hope he understands how to promote a match and that he understands what box office is and how to really understand what it makes a main event. I hope he knows how to do that. Fans don't give a shit about that. They do, but not in the literal sense of this is what viewers should hope the wrestlers talk about and are concerned about on air. Again, on air, in character, in the story. This should not be something talked about in the story. This is not something you should have the wrestlers be worried about. They should be worried about just winning matches, competing for championships, and settling personal feuds. That's literally it. That's it. There is no other way that we should be experiencing pro wrestling. I don't need this fourth wall bullshit. Doesn't help promote the match. There's really nothing on the line. It's just two guys who are the up-and-coming stars battling one another, and whoever wins is really a way to really figure out what the consequences of this match are in real terms, in reality, where I'd like to live, is not, of course, who the future of the company is. That's such an arbitrary bullshit, impossible to award prize. It should be looked at as, where does the company view these two guys? Because whoever wins this match clearly the company views as a little bit ahead of the other. And in our minds, if you've been paying attention to wrestling the last few months even, you would think that Obafemi should win this. And I think he should. But that's how you should view this, is how does the company view these two guys? That's really the consequence of this match. So I normally don't have a lot of negative stuff to say with Paul Heyman, who's just a magician on the microphone, but this was it's a disaster in the sense of content, not in delivery, or he fucked up a line, or this was a bad segment, the crowd was disinterested. No. In a kind of a different way, this was a disaster. Not in a Danhausen way. I really, really despised what he had to say here. And I normally don't. So a unique night for sure. All right. Continuing. Fourth match of the night. We had Dragon Lee versus El Hijo, I guess. And in a first round tournament for a shot at the world championship. The match also went 11 minutes, which is kind of, I guess, the magic number of the night, with Dragon Lee winning after hitting a reverse DDT and then Operation Dragon, and got the victory again. Nice match, as expected, kind of the same flavor. If you've seen a luchador match, a AAA match, you know what you felt here. There's never really ever a bad one. It's fast paced, a lot of back and forth, that kind of thing. And fine, Dragon Lee wins. Now, that means that Dragon Lee is going to face Rey Fenix in the semifinal match. So at least two guys that we can pronounce the names of. All right. Rey Mysterio and Chad Gable for the Intercontinental Championship. This was good. 13 minutes. Deservingly. Could have gone way more. Chad Gable wins after he got a reverse pin on Rey Mysterio. He had the ankle lock in. Rey reversed it. He did not tap. It allowed Gable to get the victory in a really a little bit of a unique way, rather than using his finish, which is fine. Protects Rey a little bit and mitigates the boos for Chad because he didn't make the beloved Rey Mysterio tap out. And Chad continues his Intercontinental title reign. And I like the fact that they at least gave Chad 13 minutes. After all the build that they gave this guy, the stupid ass apology tour, and the momentum, just the organic momentum that Chad Gable had behind him, I just hope this doesn't fall off the radar. Follow-up has been the kryptonite for wrestling storylines. Not just with TKO, although TKO has exemplified the problem with follow-up to stories. It was very common in the Vince McMahon era too, which lasted for 40 years. But follow-up. What are you going to do? What's next, right? You got him the championship. Great. Well, how do you keep the momentum going? That's what I'm really more concerned about with Chad than even winning the Intercontinental Championship. But the fact that Rey Mysterio can put on a match like this at his age, with the mileage on his body and the gazillion knee surgeries and back surgeries and bumps and bruises that Rey Mysterio has sustained in his career, the fact that he's able to go out there and still put on a quality matchup at his age and mileage is just nothing short of astounding. And got to give Rey Mysterio his flowers. You never really thought that Rey was going to win, but still, a fun match. All right. Roman Reigns comes out, held up his belt, and Jimmy and Jay come out. They walked out with Solo. The Usos played to the crowd, and Reigns recalled beating Solo in the Tribal Combat match, and Reigns said they wondered if Solo had forgotten, so they put something together to remind him, and it was a video recap of Reigns beating Solo and acknowledging him. And Reigns said the Buffalo fans might think it's funny, but he wanted to know why Solo did it, meaning blowing off the idea of rejoining the bloodline. Roman took off Solo's shades and stomped on them. I mean, he's going heel, guys. He already is. Very kind of subtle heel shift here. It's subtle in the sense that Usually it's like a singular moment that someone turns heel, a low blow, cheating to win, turning on an opponent or a tag team partner. This has been a bit of a slower progression for Roman's back to the dark side. So I think it's a good move, though, honestly. The bloodline is generally a boring story at this point. It's been rehashed and reborn and rebuilt and rebranded, and we've seen it all. We've seen it all. The only interesting thing here really is Solo, and we'll get to this in a second. So Reigns asked Solo why he was looking him eye to eye, which is, again, great line. And Reigns asked Solo why he wasn't down on his knees begging him. The Usos then super kicked Solo, and Fatu then hit the Tongan death grip, and Roman's called it off. And he looked to the crowd and said Solo wasn't so funny. And he said Solo would have to wait because he had something else to address. And he spoke about the Usos running the plays and leveling up. And if you disrespect them, you disrespect me. And Roman got the Ulafalas, who he then put him around the necks of Jimmy and Jay. And that's when LA Knight comes out. I think Roman called them his captains too. Knight comes out. The Usos went after Knight. He cleared them from the ring. And then Knight came in the ring, was barking at Reigns. Fatu hit Knight from behind. And then Fatu did his dance, because that's what he does. And he was going to apply the Tongan death grip, but Reigns stopped him. And Reigns hit Knight with a Superman punch, but Reigns was about to punch Knight, but he stopped. And the Usos came in the ring, held Knight, while Roman grabbed Solo and told him he had to make some tough decisions. Reigns said he shouldn't have to take care of Knight, and that Solo brought Knight into this and he should have to send him home. And Solo was going to Samoan Spike Knight, but in a Sami Zayn-esque Royal Rumble, 2023, dare I say? 2023-ish? He ends up spiking Roman Reigns. Very much a throwback. Is it a carbon copy like I've heard some people say? Not really. And why I say that is, okay, the turn itself was like a Sami Zayn turn at the Rumble, but that one built for months and months and months and months. This was just like a week. Solo was like a week into having to rejoin, or he was going to be handed to on a silver platter. So not exactly the same build, not exactly the same story, but the similarity is in how Solo did what he did. That's really where the similarity ends. On top of the fact that, Sami Zayn wasn't an actual member of the Samoan family, right? Solo is, but anyway, so not exactly carbon copy, but similar in terms of that moment. So after he Samoan spiked Reigns, he reached inside his suit and held up an air gun at Jay, who charged him, and Knight got up and hit Jimmy with a BFT, and Reigns got to his feet and tried to surprise Knight with a Superman punch, but Knight blocked him and put Roman Reigns down with a BFT, and they fist bumped, meaning Knight and Solo, and they thanked each other. And Fatu remained standing in the corner of the ring, and the bloodline. Okay. Cole was wondering if Knight pissed off Reigns enough to get a title shot. Of course he did. Again, attack the champion, get a title shot. Bad behavior is rewarded in pro wrestling. That's how you're rewarded, is with bad behavior. You want a title shot? Act like an asshole. That's all you got to do. Prove me wrong. Good angle here. I would concur with some of this analysis I'm reading that says a good closing angle. I assume Knight wasn't going to help Solo, but the surprise was seeing Fatu stand in the corner rather than help Reigns or the Usos. I assume he'll claim that Roman's called him off earlier. Okay. I do like this as well. It's the last gasp of a bloodline story. At least, can it please be? Knight is forever entangled in the bloodline. He might as well be an honorary member of the bloodline at this point, with all of the hours and hours and hours and weeks and months and years that he's been involved with the bloodline in some capacity. But this alliance between Knight and Solo, by far is the most interesting thing. And yes, Solo's new character and being funny and his new persona is just, yes, as everyone says, entertaining. It is. He is very much the entertainment part of WWE. He's holding that E very high. And I enjoy it. I like Solo like many people do. I'm concerned that they're going to decide that this is all a ruse and Solo is actually going to turn on Knight and he's going to rejoin the bloodline. Good God, please. No. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm just saying it's possible. I would lean towards no, only because this new character it's untapped potential right now. Like, we don't know what the ceiling is. We don't know how high Solo can take this, how much money it could potentially make for the company if they are ending up printing t-shirts and selling merch. So we all know they love speaking that money language. And Solo is by far the most interesting character. If you were to just put him back in the bloodline, oh, he turns on LA Knight, he really was a member of the family, everyone would just go, fuck. Not in a good way of, I hope Knight gets revenge, gosh golly. It would be a collective groan of just, really, fuck this. That's, I think, how the fan reaction would be. It would turn off fans big time. And it's really a stupid business decision. You have a guy that you might be catching lightning in a bottle with this new persona. Take it and ride it until it's crested and crashed down. You need to figure out what you've got here. This is not a connection that is common. This is a very much an organic connection. That's why it feels so fun is Solo Sikoa feels more natural. He feels more like himself, which makes it more genuine, which allows him to connect with the crowd on an actual human level instead of just this wrestling character. It feels like he's just kind of being himself, which makes it more appealing. Let's go. So for him to turn would be absolutely ill-advised. Now for Knight to turn and have him be a member, I've heard that too. No. Nobody should join the bloodline ever again. It should be banned. Not just in a pro wrestling level, on a civil level. It should be in the penal code of every state in the country that if any member of the WWE roster joins the bloodline, they will be imprisoned for no less than 3 years. Nobody needs to join the bloodline. LA Knight doesn't need to turn heel. This new alliance is very interesting. It does not need to be a setup for one to turn on the other, for the love of God. So this is interesting. Now, you can already kind of see, too, the foundation being laid for War Games. Who knew? The War Games matchup is already taking shape, even though it's in November, which is not that far away. You're going to have LA Knight and Solo Sikoa and maybe the new Fatu that's in NXT gets called up against Roman and the Usos and Jacob Fatu. Here comes the War Games match. It's already here. For the 18th year in a row, the Bloodlines in the War Games matchup. But I think that's what they're setting up here. Is Solo and LA Knight being the pillars of this team for War Games in a few months. So I don't think LA Knight and this Bloodline feud is going anywhere. Buckle your seatbelts. We're just getting started with LA Knight and the Bloodline. Unfortunately. Now, does that mean Roman Reigns can't lose the belt between now and then? No, but do you really think he's gonna? Of course not. All right. So that was WWE Raw in a nutshell. Overall, again, I thought it was a good show. Didn't blow my socks off, but it was good. And I enjoyed it. And I think that it was absolutely a show that moved things forward. And we had, of course, Bully Ray say that Raw was, quote, a great night for both Solo and LA Knight. I would concur with that. That's not state-run radio propaganda, with them being a part of WWE radio. I think that, yeah, that's a fair analysis. It was a great night. Solo and LA Knight have a a common enemy now that they can bond over, and they saved each other's asses on Monday night. As I said 10 minutes ago, I hope it's not a setup. It can't be. Please. But a good Raw, especially the closing angle, good, solid wrestling matchups generally. Some complaints here and there. One of my biggest being Paul Heyman, which doesn't happen every week, and the content of his promo. So let me know what you guys thought of Monday Night Raw, because I'm interested. If you guys want to send me an email, mailbag@wwepodcast.com. You can also go ad-free at patreon.com/WWE podcast, or go ad-free on Apple by clicking that subscribe button and joining us ad-free. So, all right. Busy day for me, guys. It's late at night now. I'm going to head into bed and go into dreamland. And if you guys want me to answer more random questions, that's a lot of fun. You can send me random questions. Anything you want. Anything you want. Of course, I'm opening myself up to crazy fucking questions, depending on the topic. But what's your favorite food? Favorite vacation? Favorite memory as a teenager? I don't know. Go crazy. Interested? I'm interested to hear your thoughts about wrestling or anything else. We can just kind of shoot the shit on the mailbag and send in those questions. Again, wrestling related or not, at mailbag@wwepodcast.com. Follow me on X at wrestling_audio. Always a fun time there with my friends over on X. So many lovely friends. It's such a very positive place, a very positive place. And I think that you'll enjoy it over there if you follow me, of course. One quick final point. There is a lot of Austin Theory and Maxine Dupree affection going on Raw, right? And Maxine Dupree was recently married. I know that it's on air. I know that it's just acting. I know that she's getting paid to do this. But I gotta say, if I were Maxine Dupree's husband in real life, I'd have a lot of questions. Now, I'm not saying that there is something actually going on with Maxine and Austin Theory in real life. But how can you not wonder, if you are Maxine's husband, despite I trust her, it's just acting, it's her job. Yeah, bullshit. You'd be concerned. I'm not trying to start rumors or create claims that aren't true. I have no evidence that there's something going on. I'm just saying, as a human being, if you have somebody that you're married to or in a committed relationship to, and their job is to act with other performers affectionately, you can't tell me, you would be lying if you told me, I'm not worried at all. I don't even think about it. It's just acting. It's not real. There's nothing actually going on. Bullshit. You don't think that. I'm just saying. Maxine's husband is I'm sure he's just wondering. I'm not trying to start any rumors, just an observation that I had regarding Austin Theory and Maxine Dupree. I commented on it earlier on X, and just wanted to share that with you. And one final thing, because there's always one final thing. Obafemi Braun Breaker. Maybe I'll add a fourth problem to this. Obafemi looks so silly doing his strut when someone's in the ring that just cut a promo on him, and Obafemi's coming out to retort him, right? To debate him or to confront him face to face. He looks fucking silly. He looks like a child doing his strut on the way to the ring. I know it's part of his gimmick and people like watching him do it, and people in the arena get all involved, and it's a very participatory part of his entrance and all that crap. Hey, can we just look at this and go, this is just, what are we doing? Obafemi, I don't mind in an entrance where he's coming out for a match doing that. But if it's like if it's a spur of the moment thing and he's just responding to somebody out there that's trash talking him, and he comes out doing the silly strut, it seems so unnatural. It's very so performative. Do you know what I mean? Again, I get the strut. I get the music. I get it. It's catchy. Everybody can do it. Easy to do. Fine. But there's an element of reality here that I can't cross. And it's just so not believable and takes me out of the moment. That's one of those things when he does his strut, when it's just this not called for at all. And it takes away from the moment because it's just totally performative. All right. I'm getting out of here, guys. I'll stop bitching. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll be back on Friday. Actually, not Friday, because I'll be honest, I have a golf tournament on Friday. I don't think I've ever disposed that to you guys. I actually just got into golf last year. Being a guy in my early 40s, I guess I'm sliding right into my age group's activities now of golfing. But I have a tournament all day, so I won't be able to do my mailbag on Friday, which means get your emails to me earlier than normal so I can record. Let's say probably Thursday I'll record. I'll probably take tomorrow off from recording. So Thursday, get your emails to me by evening time, Eastern time. I'll probably record, after dinner Eastern time on Thursday. So get me your emails, mailbag at www.podcast.com, just in case you want to get them in this week's show. Everybody take care. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.